Once you have negotiated, yes, then you have to make them into a contract. So there will be a contract. You have to have a contract always. So contract is very important. Legally, it will be a document actually, and you also will be abide by according to the condition put in the contract. I will also abide by. So two party will agree and go according to the contract. So contract is very important. So especially when we are dealing with the suppliers who has to supply the right quality, right time for the right cost, yeah, in the right place. So they have to supply these things. So in the contract, we are going to have these kind of things. So contract is a binding agreement. So it's an agreement, right? Uh, Between buyer and seller. It is key to buyer and seller relationship. So there should be a relationship. Right? There will be a framework to deal with each other. So the framework will help us to deal with each other. The procurement contract, often called purchase contract. So another term is purchase contract. So the often called purchase contract, contracts that establish a legally binding relationship between buyers and sellers that protect both entities throughout the procurement process. This is very important. So both sides, there are some kind of protection. Okay. So contract is ensuring what is the contract, what is in the contract gets properly delivered. It is a process to maximize values throughout the contract terms and minimize risk. Right. Why we don't want risks? Yeah, if you have the contract, you can minimize the risk because you can violate if there is no contract. I can also violate if there is no contract, right? According to the contract, you will try to deliver. According to the contract, I will try to deal with you. So there will be less or minimized risk, right? In terms of in terms of delivery, or in terms of quality, in terms of the product, the quantity, and everything. Yeah, correct. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So why contract management is important? Many organizations now almost completely depend on third-party organizations. So we always depend on others, right? So the third parties represent a significant risk sometimes. Without contract management, you are relying on good fortune, yeah, that things will go well. So don't rely on the good fortune. So you have to always be documented. So contract management cycle clearly define the process and commercial well before contract start date. The stages will depend on the relative importance of the contract to the procurement organization. People involved in the cycle will need a variety of different skills. There are four broad phases. This is important. Four broad phases: pre-award, award, and then management or development, and end of contract cycle. So we will discuss one by one about this. Pre-award. So before awarding, so we have to have something with them. Okay, we have maximum flexibility and most leverage here. So this is understanding area. We can add significant values at this point. Planning. First, we have to do planning and engaging with the stakeholders, establishing the contractual documentations like negotiation, the terms and preferences, yeah, the performance and everything. Deciding the right approach. So relationship. Okay, we have to review the meetings, dealing with claims and variations. So this is what we are going to deal earlier in advance, pre, and we can have this contract leadership tool. You know, if when you look at this contract administration, so there are contract management administration, contract leadership, and maintenance. These are based on level of formalization and proactive engagement. If you formalize high, your formalization is high, and also proactive engagement is high, positive engagement is high. This is what we call contract leadership. So you have to always maintain the contract leadership. So proactive engagement is high, but your formalization, level of formalization, not formal, informal. That is what we call contract management. At administrations, your proactive engagement and formalizations are low at this point, administrations. So the maintenance, your proactive engagement is low, but level of formalization is high, the maintenance. So these are the way we are dealing with contract. So when you are dealing with the contract, so we have to go for always the contract leadership. Formalization will be high, and also proactive engagement also will be high. Okay, so in this way, so why we have to do that? So first we have to proactively engage, positively engage, that should be always high. And also formalization is always documentations. Everything should be formalized. Yeah, officially we have to do it, correct? And awarding. When you are doing, once you have pre-award, then we have to go for awarding. It is legally binding at this point. So contractual levels and mechanisms must be determined. So here the mobilization or transition, how you are going to deal with, and activating administrations or contract database, and activating performance mechanism, and also scheduling initial review meetings. This is scheduling initial review meeting, and the risk management process. If there are anything in terms of this supply, so how are you going to manage it? So risk management process, these things should be clearly mentioned. And also management. When you are dealing with management, some contracts will be light touch. So others need to be proactive management and review meetings. You have to, when you are dealing with contract, you have to review meetings and manage the changes and variation if there are anything, and dealing with the resolving contract. If there are any problem arises, even though you have awarded, so there at the time you're going to have some kind of discussion, and then dealing with the resolving the conflict, and stakeholder management, engagement. So we are going to deal with, and supplier relationship management. We have to always have a very good relationship, even though we have signed a contract. And supplier development. In the future, we need these people to continue. So you have to think about supplier development, supplier relationship, stakeholder engagement, dealing with resolving the conflict and managing the variation. These things are there coming under contract management. So we have to manage these kind of things, even though we signed the contract. Yeah.
Sir, what can you give the example? Some contracts will be light touch. Can you give me an example?
Yeah, when you are signing any purchasing contracts, so at the time you have this kind of mechanism, right? You have selected a supplier. For example, you purchase one thing, right? According to the contract agreement, so you have already awarded, right? Okay. Now there are some problem sometime come, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. At the time you have to have a meeting. You have to have a review meeting, right? Okay. Even though we signed a contract, you can't expect these people to follow that.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So at that time, you have to have a review meeting. Okay. So and at the time of the meeting, you are going to have some discussion dealing with some conflict is there on the table, right? There are some variations according to the request. They are going to give you something else, right? Sometimes not up to the expectation, they are not going to bring. So we are going to deal it, right? When we are dealing at the time, we have to always make sure that we have to have a very good relationship with them. Our relationship should not be broken, because we have to find another supplier now if you lose this guy, if you treat them badly. So we have to maintain the relationship management. And also we have to educate them, and we have to have a very good understanding and develop them, right? So dealing according to the way they have to come to us, even though sometimes there are some situations they will explain to us, right? They will earlier they have already agreed to deliver in this price. Some suddenly they will say no, we can't deliver for this. Why? Because there is a price variation. Our government has increased taxation. What you will do? According to the contract, it's already written this this is the price, right?
Yeah.
But suddenly the government put a taxation because of something externally happened in the external environment, like there are some economic situation change in the country, or political situation change in the country, or some unkind of accident like corona, something like that. So what will happen?
Yeah, same thing
No,
happened here.
you can't stick to. No, we signed this contract. No, you have to deliver like that. Can you go?
No, we can't go.
No, you can't be very strict to sometimes. That's why the formalization, the formalization, do you understand? We will go for formalized. More formalized is official, but some no flexible. According to the contract, you have to go. But sometimes less formalized. So we adjust something, right?
Okay, latest, yeah.
You understood this?
Yeah, clear.
Right. The situation, based on the situation, you are going to deal with the supplier. But anyway, we have to understand their what do you call situations, like empathy, not sympathy, but empathy. We have to understand their problems, right? They have to be continuously to our supplier. So we have to consider that supplier relationship, right? If you deal no, according to the contract you have to sign, first time they will see, second time they will say, no, we don't want to continue with you. Because we lost last time. You didn't consider our request. You know this is our situations. Why you failed to deal with? Then they will be unhappy, right?
Yeah.
They will be unhappy. You also will be unhappy if you are a supplier, right, to somebody.
Yeah.
If the organization doesn't care about your external things affected by, especially the tsunami situations, or especially the corona situation, especially the war situation, especially the economic condition. So there are some other things are there externally. This is not in the hand of the supplier. Externally, there are some other factors affecting. So in terms of the delivery, in terms of the cost, in terms of the quality, everything. But it has to be discussed. This is important. It has to be discussed, reviewed, and agreed again. Yeah, that's why we have to manage. Even though we signed the contract, we can't let them go according to the contract. Sometimes there will be reviews. So they will call you. Actually, we need to have a meeting. We have something to discuss. The supplier will call you. Say there are something we have to discuss with you. It's urgent. So please, when shall we meet up? At that time, they will bring their ideas. They will bring their situations. Then we have to understand their situations. And if there are possibilities, that time we are going to lose. Then win, the dealing. We will sometimes lose. We adjust, right? Sometimes they will also little lose. Then compromise. So they will lose and we will lose. Sometimes because of the conditions externally, which is not in our hand. So these things should be considered. This is the management. Somehow we go according to the contract. Sometimes we are unable to, but still we understand each other, and then we want to manage on that point, according to that point, even though we sign. So the contract will be little bit adjusted. Anything you can add, Faisal? Oh, honey, you can add. Okay, correct. Am I right?
Yes,
This is actually the practical situation. It's happened everywhere. We agree. We get first. We will before we contract get the agreement. We have certain process, right? We call quotations, and we review the quotations, and then finally we are going to award them, right? before awarding, we have to have a negotiation. So at the time, once we have negotiated, then we have to go for legal agreement. So that is what contracts. So at the time, once we even the pre-awarded and awarded, then pre-awarded, we are going to deal with them. And then awarding that we have to officially give them. Then finally, we are going to deal that. Even though we have awarded, we have to deal that. That is what management, right? Dealing with and resolving conflict. This is the point. Dealing with and resolving the conflict, because they are going to come from. Sometimes we want some adjustment. We will say no, our sale is going down. Actually, we ordered this amount of the quantity is this. For the time being, we don't want to continue the same load. Sometime our order, sometime the next batch will be reduced. So this is our condition. Right, externally we had ordered certain amount, but we have to negotiate. No, our side also there will be problem, right? Because we have no customers. Then if there is no customer, what's the use of getting raw materials in bulk? What are we going to do with that? We have only ordered big amount of, but still, am I right, Faisal?
Yes, sir, you're right. It will be a waste because we had experienced something like this. So, we ordered a bulk of the medical items from the US and it's still here. And like millions of the items are expired already. So,
expired. See, this is waste. So at the time, even though we can explain things, but we can stop or reduce the quantity in the next batch, right? They are not going to take return. Sometimes they will help, but sometimes they are not. But these things should be discussed. That is what management. Both sides should come mutually agree. Both sides will mutually agree after discussion. So we are going to deal this discussion. This is what management. Okay, clear?
Yes. Clear.
Correct, Muhammad? Yeah. Fine.
Yeah. Okay.
So end of contract life cycle. Now this area, yes, all contract will come to end according to the termination, the deadline. And planning for the end of the contract was the time often engaged with the stakeholders. The key consideration is the contract required for further term. So if you need to continue, then only you got to continue. Otherwise, you end it, right? Sometime. That's why we have an agreement. After this, you don't need, allow enough time for renewal. Sometimes you will find, and if there is anything to renew, you have to go for renewal, and take care of the supply if is in possessions, and also consider potential ongoing responsibilities and liabilities of the contract end date. So you have to understand the end date, and if there is anything, you have to negotiate and then finally finish it off. So this is the way you have to deal with the contract. Conclusion: what are the things you have to finalize? The risk relating to contract might be disappropriation, disproportionately high relatively. So I mean, high relative to the perceived importance of the contract. So not all contract require the proactive management. So proactive management, that positively deal, and do not underestimate the important phase one. Pre-award. Pre-award is getting ready things, and the contract management cycle starts when ahead of the contract award. So once you have awarded, start, and ensuring the right approach is adopted. Crucial. Effective management of the contract. Even though you sign the contract, effective management of the contract is important. Most important contracts require the highest level of formalization. So always you have to go for official and also proactive engagement with the key stakeholders. So always you have to engage with positively, right? So that is what contract leadership. So even though we have contract administration as it is, we have to do, right? Administration, we have to go as it is, but leadership, formalized, right? Formalized, more formalized, and also you have to go for level. You have to deal with always proactively, proactively engage, positively engage. Right. Significance of the procurement contracts. You know already. Can you tell me the significance? Why we need contracts? We have already discussed this. So we have to always think about the time, fees, and cost. You have already discussed, right? Effective procurement contract solidifies the business relationship, right? The both party will be benefited. We already discussed this, right? Both sides. There are some situations come at the time. If there is a contract, then we can deal with it. Otherwise, it will be a problem. No, on what basis we are going to deal with them if you don't have a contract? Can you tell me now? If you don't sign a contract, on what basis you are going to talk with me? I promised you, right? But still no contract. What will happen? You can violate my promises, right? I can violate my promises to you. So I just promised, and then I can violate also. But if there is a contract, yes, there is a legal things, right? Still we have something to hold, right? It's important, right?
Yeah, it's a proof. You can say.
Yeah, it's a proof. And also based on next time, even though we reject you based on this documentation, we can reject you, right?
Yes.
And one thing, second thing, you can't go to court also. I can go to court also. Sometime if you violate according to the agreements, it's a legal paper actually, right? So in front of the legally, we are going to sign the contract sometime, right? So our money is there, so it has to be protected. What is the legal point? Definitely the contract. And the contract will give an opportunity to come to a table to discuss. Otherwise, no one will come. If there is no contract, if you call them for discussion, they are not going to come. Do you think they will come?
No.
Right? Because according to the term and conditions, both agree, right? It means both are responsible.